Behind every legend lies a reason. This is Myth and Motive.
Ready. Close up 2. Hello everyone. As we all know, water has long been considered one of the substances that gave birth to life. However, water is also one of the things with the most terrifying ability to destroy life, epitomized by floods. China, a country with a vast territory, possesses many of the world's largest rivers, and thus also suffers from the worst floods. That second longest river is also nicknamed China. Due to the influence of millennia of river water rising throughout the thousands of years of this country's history, from ancient dynasties to the modern regime, the Chinese have been and still are constantly seeking ways to control the rivers running across their land. Thousands of dams, canals, and embankments were thus born with the hope of both harnessing the power of the rivers and limiting the destructive force of rain and floods. The international organization International Rivers estimates that China currently has about 87,000 dams. They were built to control floods, regulate flow to support irrigation for drought-prone areas, and generate electricity. And among the largest dams in this country, the Three Gorges Dam is perhaps the most famous hydroelectric dam among them. The project is named after its location, near Three Gorges along the Yangtze River. The Yangtze River, also known as the Changjiang River, is the longest river in Asia and the third longest in the world, after the Nile in Africa and the Amazon in South America. It is approximately 6,385 kilometers long, coincidentally nearly equivalent to the average distance from the Earth's surface is 4. The Yangtze River originates in the west, flows eastward, and empties into the East China Sea, playing an extremely important role in the economic development and cultures along its banks in China. Proud as it is, however, throughout China's thousands of years of history, it has also witnessed countless repeated massive damages due to annual floods, mainly in the lower reaches of the Yangtze River, so for a long time, Chinese leaders have wanted to build a dam as a solid wall, protecting millions of people in the lower reaches of the Yangtze River from the annual flood threat. And that was the beginning of the world's largest dam, the Three Gorges Dam. Construction officially began in 1994, but the Three Gorges Dam was not only planned in recent years, but over 100 years ago. The idea of a dam spanning the Yangtze River was nurtured by the country's leaders. In 1919, Sun Yat-sen, who was the provisional president of the Republic of China, became the first to consider a plan to build a hydroelectric dam on the Yangtze River, with a proposed location in Hubei province. This idea was later studied with American support, but it was quickly shelved due to circumstances and political conditions, as well as the economy not yet permitting it at the time. This period also saw the outbreak of the First Civil War between the Nationalist Party and the Chinese Communist Party, lasting from 1927 to 1936. Following that was the extremely brutal Sino-Japanese War, from 1937 to 1945. Next was the Second Chinese Civil War, starting from 1946 to 1950, with victory belonging to the Chinese Communist Party. The Nationalist Party was forced to retreat to Taiwan. Peace was restored in mainland China, but immediately, unceasing floods later revived the idea of building a giant dam on the Yangtze River. The dam project was approved by the Chinese Communist Party in 1954, and from then on, project development studies were conducted continuously from 1955. With the support of Soviet experts, until diplomatic relations between the two countries deteriorated. At that stage, China's Vice Minister of Electric Power, Li Sui, concluded that it was not necessary to build this dam. The reason being that it was too costly, had many risks, and the benefits did not outweigh the costs. Officials in Sichuan province also opposed their construction because they believed Sichuan, located upstream, would bear many costs while Hubei province downstream would receive many benefits. However, the project was still pushed forward with the support of then-Chairman Mao Zedong, who wanted China to have the world's largest hydroelectric dam. However, before the project could be implemented, a major development occurred when the country's leaders planned a great leap forward in society and economy. The Great Leap Forward was implemented from 1958 to 1962 with the goal of a strong transformation from agriculture to industry. However, the result of this leap became a major economic disaster, causing production stagnation combined with existing natural disasters, creating a famine with over 20 million deaths. These very things caused the preparatory work for the dam plan to be temporarily halted again in 1960. After that, it continued to stagnate due to the outbreak of the Chinese Cultural Revolution in 1966. The Cultural Revolution created another 10 years of chaos in both economy and society in China. At the same time, tensions with the Soviet Union increased, causing the dam construction project to reach a dead end as Chinese officials feared the dam could be targeted by the Soviet Union for sabotage if war broke out between the two countries. In 1978, internal power within the Chinese Communist Party was seized by Deng Xiaoping. China's economy under Deng subsequently opened a new chapter. Deng advocated for reform and opening up, thereby attracting many large corporations from Western countries to invest. With factories springing up everywhere across the country, Chinese leaders at this time began to emphasize a source of electricity production to supply the growing industrial facilities within the country. Therefore, the Three Gorges Dam project was revisited and approved for construction by Chinese leaders in 1979. However, immediately, waves of criticism continuously increased from people both inside and outside the country. They argued that the project was not fully evaluated in terms of technology, society, and environment. To appease public opinion, Chinese leaders organized feasibility studies from 1982 to 1983. In the early 1980s, the Americans, considered good friends of China, returned to participate in the project. But even so, domestic and international public opinion increasingly opposed it more fiercely. Ecologists refused to sign the environmental report, believing it misrepresented the facts. And the laws on human rights have only planned for re-election. Even archaeologists are concerned because a large number of historical relics will be submerged. Many construction contractors also do not trust the project's design drawings. In March 1989, facing domestic and international pressure, the Chinese leadership at the time agreed to postpone this construction plan for 5 years. Toy Nian, South Sukai in Hanwang Gaonong 1989, Jin Qian Dong and Tay Kan Tak Tran Kai Bei Kondat Bob at Jian Nung Roi Fan Joy Wai Duong. Premier Li Peng later re-campaigned for the dam's construction, and in 1992. Also in this year, the Chinese government officially submitted the Three Gorges Dam project for a vote of the National People's Congress. Finally, it was passed at the session of the Chinese National People's Congress in April 1992, even though 1/3 of the delegates voted against it or abstained. Many anonymous sources later revealed that senior congressional officials had automatically approved projects before bringing them to the district to avoid them. Some opinions even point out that the Three Gorges Dam project was approved long before the National Congress convened, and the 1992 parliamentary session was essentially just to decide on a name for the project. Yang Xinren, a representative from Heilongjiang Province in northeast China, said that most representatives had not been informed in detail about the technical issues of the project. And even if we were allowed to vote, the voting process would still take place blindly. The selected location for building the dam is Tando Bin, Yisuang in Hubei Province. The resettlement was carried out the following day, reportedly forcing up to 1.4 million people to relocate, with their homes demolished. The community was basically cut off and many agricultural land areas were flooded to create a reservoir. The construction of the massive reservoir for the Three Gorges Dam submerged 2 cities, 114 towns, and 1,680 villages along the Yangtze River. The project began construction in 1994, and after nearly 4 years, the Yangtze River was blocked and diverted in November 1997. The September 1992 resolution was issued by the Chinese government. The primary purpose of building the Three Gorges Dam was to prevent flooding. However, besides the task of taming China's largest river, the Yangtze, the Three Gorges Dam was also designed to become a power plant. High capacity, uprooting the unprecedented economic growth ambitions of the... It can be said that the urgent goal of the Chinese government at that time was still the economy. Every success requires sacrifice, hence the disregard for international opposition and a series of domestic protests. The dam is still determined to be carried out by the Chinese government. According to NASA, the Three Gorges Dam is one of the few man-made structures on Earth that can be seen with the naked eye. The dam was completed in 2009 with a height of 185 meters. The reservoir of the dam has an extremely vast area, with a length of up to 660 kilometers. The river flows through narrow gorges and a series of steep canyons, stretching all the way to Chongqing, a metropolis with over 30 million people in the west. It can be said that the Three Gorges Dam is one of the major projects built after the year 2000 that can be compared to the Great Wall in history. The hydroelectric plant at the dam was further completed in 2012, with a generating capacity of up to 22,500 megawatts, more than 3 times the capacity of the Grand Coulee Dam, the largest in the United States. Its operating principle is this: the giant dam was built on a section of the upper reaches of the Yangtze. It will prevent flooding downstream by storing floodwater in a massive reservoir and controlling the amount of water released through the floodgates. Notably, 1 month before the Three Gorges Dam began construction, at the end of 1994, Daniel P. Barrett, a member of the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation, declared at an international conference that the era of dam construction in the United States has ended. The U.S. will see other measures to resolve the water issue. According to Mr. Barrett, the costs of dam construction projects have exceeded the initial estimates, while many benefits expected from the dam never materialized. Schenkman, a geologist at the University of Alabama, says many coastal dams in the northwest of the United States was removed because it obstructed the migration of fish species from the ocean to rivers, causing a significant decline in their populations. In the southeast, the dams in the upper Mekong and the highlands have caused numerous environmental problems, such as coastal erosion and species extinction. And coastal erosion due to the dam blocking a significant amount of sediment. Marine, a dam expert in the Netherlands, said that after the boom period of dam construction from 1950 to around 1980, many countries have begun to recognize the environmental impacts. Dam projects have almost all come to a halt. But in China, after 1990, it was the era of dams. By 2019, China had 23,841 large dams, most of which were built after 2000. Meanwhile, in the United States, the country with the second largest number of large dams in the world, the number of large dams is only 9,206. According to the International Commission, a large dam is defined as a dam with a height of 15 meters or more, or a reservoir water volume exceeding 3 million cubic meters. For the Chinese people, especially those living in the lower Yangtze River region, the Three Gorges Dam is both a national marvel and a looming disaster. In reality, the Three Gorges Dam is only one of the few dams built on the Yangtze River. Many other dams upstream are larger in scale, and the entire system must continuously coordinate water regulation to ensure that downstream reservoirs do not overflow simultaneously. In 2020, the entire Yangtze River basin, including tributaries flowing into the main stream, experienced prolonged heavy rains lasting for weeks. The large influx of water caused increasing pressure on the upstream dams. To alleviate the pressure, authorities even had to partially breach a small dam in Anhui Province. The subsequent water release from upstream dams increased the pressure of water flowing into the Three Gorges Dam reservoir. The Three Gorges Dam reservoir, with a maximum water level of 175 meters, had then reached 164.18 meters. This figure exceeded the previous record of 163.11 meters. Officials worry that, in the context of increasingly complex climate change and unpredictable rainfall patterns, it is difficult to fully rely on the water storage capacity of dams along the Yangtze River. Fan Xiao, a Chinese geologist, argues that instead of relying on dams to prevent floods, humans should create more space for rivers, allowing them to expand naturally during flood seasons. Mr. Fan notes that people often only consider using reservoirs to address flood control issues, but overlook or underestimate the natural flood regulation capacity of rivers and lakes. It would be a disaster if the Three Gorges Dam were to break, because from the dam downstream, the Yangtze River flows through many major urban centers of China, including Wuhan and Nanjing, before emptying into the sea at Shanghai. The loss of life in such a scenario would be extremely catastrophic. Some smaller cities downstream currently have populations of about 4 to 6 million people, while Nanjing has 8.5 million and Wuhan has as many as 11 million. Material damage would also be devastating. Cities like Wuhan would be submerged in water, agricultural areas would be wiped out, severely reducing China's food production capacity. Famine could escalate and place immense pressure on Chinese society. However, climate change is still not the greatest threat compared to the risk of war. Escalating tensions with Taiwan have led many to worry that the Three Gorges Dam could become a target of attack. Today, with long-range and highly accurate weapons, Gorges Dam has become a strategic vulnerability for the Chinese government. Not only is it a potential disaster for a large number of Chinese people, this dam over the years has also caused serious geological impacts. In 2007, at a forum, Chinese officials and experts acknowledged that the construction of the Three Gorges Dam had triggered a series of ecological problems, including more frequent landslides. Xinhua news agency quoted experts as saying, "The enormous weight of the water mass held back behind the Three Gorges has begun to erode the banks of the Yangtze River in many places. The frequent fluctuations in water levels also cause a series of landslides." Geologists say that water from the reservoir seeps in and erodes the base of cliffs, and the fluctuation of water levels continuously changes the weight of the reservoir, thereby exerting pressure on the mountain slopes. In many other studies, scientists have also pointed out that there are up to 3 geological fault zones near the reservoir area, with 21 earthquakes above 4.75 on the Richter scale recorded in this region. The strongest earthquake reached 6.5 on the Richter scale. Increasing pressure at the bottom of the reservoir could potentially trigger even stronger earthquakes. Much practical evidence worldwide also indicates that over 80 medium and large reservoirs have experienced such earthquakes, according to a study by the China Earthquake Administration. In the 6 years after the Three Gorges Dam reservoir began filling in June 2003, as many as 3,429 earthquakes were recorded along the reservoir. Meanwhile, from January 2000 to May 2003, only 94 earthquakes were recorded. The first disaster occurred in 2003, the day after the reservoir was filled with water for the first time. When the water level reached 135 meters, landslides began to occur. A few weeks later, in one area of the Three Gorges Dam, a large section of the mountain broke off, slid into the reservoir, killing 24, destroying 346 houses, and capsizing over 20 boats. Almost simultaneously, 80 large cracks were discovered on the concrete surface of the Three Gorges Dam. Chinese officials stated that the cracks were not a threat to the dam, but this did not alleviate concerns. In 2020, during unprecedented severe flooding, suspicions about deformation of the Three Gorges Dam were raised once again. In a rare instance in late July 2022, the Xinhua news agency cited the Three Gorges Corporation, the unit responsible for managing the Three Gorges Dam, stating that some peripheral parts of the dam had warped. The slight deformation of the Three Gorges Dam occurred on July 18, 2020, after floodwaters from western provinces along the upper reaches of the Yangtze River, such as Sichuan and Chongqing, peaked at a record 61,000 cubic meters per second, according to a report in Xinhua news agency. The dam management unit stated that the slight deformation affected some peripheral structures, and water seepage through the dam walls was also recorded over the past weekend during flood discharge. However, the water seepage condition did not last long. Xinhua news agency emphasized at the time that all data from the Three Gorges Dam met standards and this slight deformation had been accounted for in the dam's design. Skepticism about the flood control role of the Three Gorges. Although the Three Gorges Dam construction project cost 200 billion yuan, equivalent to $28.6 billion for China, and took over a decade to build, along with the promise that the dam would protect people downstream of the Yangtze River from flooding. However, the dam's effectiveness to date has often been questioned. The reason stems from its mode of operation. According to experts, the dam can only store water for a certain period and is forced to release water to accommodate new floods from heavy rains upstream. During the rainy season in China, heavy rains can occur consecutively. And in June 2020, the Three Gorges Dam had to discharge floods multiple times to reduce the reservoir's water volume. In July alone, the dam encountered 3 consecutive flood peaks. The subsequent flood discharge exacerbated flooding downstream, especially in provinces like Anhui and Jiangxi. David Shankman, a geographer at the University of Alabama specializing in Chinese floods, shared, "One of the main reasons for building the Three Gorges Dam was flood control. But within 20 years of its completion, we have recorded the highest flood levels in China's history." Reality has proven that building the dam could not prevent such severe disasters. The Three Gorges Dam Operating Company later denied this with a statement in the Global Times. The Three Gorges Dam has significantly helped block floodwaters from flowing down, but the reality is that Poyang Lake in Yangtze River still witnessed historically unprecedented water level rises, exceeding even the record water level during the catastrophic 1998 floods that killed 3,000 people. Many other areas along the lower Yangtze River also reported floodwaters surpassed. According to experts, precisely, the Three Gorges Dam can reduce the intensity of floods from us, but only to a certain extent. You cannot prevent floods caused by heavy rains in the middle and lower reaches or tributaries of the Yangtze River. In reality, many floods in central and southern China during the summer of 2020 were due to torrential rains pouring downstream, not passing through the dam. Although it controlled some upstream water flow, the goal of preventing floods in the lower Yangtze region was unsuccessful. On the contrary, the dam has created a great concern for lives and property. In the context of increasingly complex climate change, expected to cause longer and more unpredictable rains, some Chinese experts believe that new solutions must be found in the future, instead of relying on the flood control effectiveness of giant dams like the Three Gorges Dam.
If the legend hooked you, subscribe and open the next case.